Hello everyone and welcome to a new series featuring a new game on the channel, as it is FM23. My god, this has been a long time coming to have a football manager series on the channel. I've been wanting to do this since 2016, which is wild to think. I'm very happy I did not do it then though, because I think my football knowledge and just experience, and to the point now where I'm sitting here as a certified professional football scout, which is just so weird to say. But that's the journey, and a lot of that is because of this. It's because of Football Manager. There's the technical scouting and the data analysis that really I would say, that's the courses I took as far as to be certified in. That started because of this game, and a lot of part because of that game is why I think I love football so much. I think it's definitely helped my fandom, and it's very, very important to me as far as what it's done for me now, as far as to be able to have a I would say freelance professional career, which is still nuts to say. But for this series with FM, as you can see, we got the continents up because this is a Continent King save. So the idea with the Continent King save, it's basically combining a journeyman with a glory hunter into just one big ass thing. Where we start for the Continent King is we're going to start in Australia, because the Australian League is usually the lowest tier as far as leagues go, as far as reputation, to not only take on the as far as for to start there, because I think the league is 2 stars. At least it was 2 stars in FM22. It's probably going to be the same here. So we'll start in Australia. Then from there, we'll probably either jump in FM22. I jumped from Australia to South Korea to try and as far as to conquer Asia, because Asia is a weird one, because China started off the Chinese league as like the more reputable league, but in the save, after the first 2 seasons in Australia, they were like, "Oh yeah, you can go over here to Korea now," because the reputation of South Korea even surpassed China. So I just went there instead. It was between that and going to South Africa, because obviously with Africa in the FM world, there's only South African leagues that you could play in. But to kind of counteract that, so it's not so, as far as kind of one-dimensional, there's a lot of leagues that we'll talk about rather, as far as talking about where each kind of nation is kind of a little different. For Australia, the main thing that we want to do is win both the Australian Cup and the regular season, because I think the regular season is a lot more of a challenge, because you literally have to play the entire as far as being at the top of that league, it's pretty tough, because you have to play everybody twice, and it's much more important than what I think the finals is, which is kind of weird to say, because to even qualify to get into the playoffs, it's kind of like an MLS style, where you have your 12 teams, your top 6 qualify for the playoffs, your bottom 6 don't, and if you're just one of those top 6 teams, if you just go on a hell of a run and are winless, because it's 2 legs each round, so if you just go 6-0 to end out your year, you'll be the finals champion. And that's, to me, I don't think that's as more prestigious as winning the regular season, where you have to do it the entire season and can't have too many mistakes and can't have too many losses. So I just value that more. The idea for the Continent King says is you cannot leave before you do this, before you achieve your goals. So it's not like a journeyman where if it's not working out, I can just go somewhere else. Now, you have to get either 1 or 2 of the trophies that you are needed to advance to another continent. Really, the hardest one is definitely Europe, and that will probably be our last stop, because I want to win the Prem, I want to win La Liga, I want to win Serie A, and I want to win the Bundesliga. Those 4, plus the Champions League, pretty fucking nuts. And I want to win the FA Cup as well. Trying to think what other... And then for South America's interesting, because Brazil and Argentina, those 2 leagues, are basically dead even with their reputation, so it really just kind of depends on how the save's going. If one is higher than the other, I'll go with that one, but I think to really complete the continent, I gotta win them in both Brazil and Argentina. So that would be nuts. For North America, it's the MLS and the Mexico League, which the MLS is not even like the more popular one. Obviously, you want to win in the Mexico one, but also you want to win like CONCACAF for North America and for Africa. If you are part of the international team, as far as if you're in FM23, I was a part of the Ivory Coast team, and I was also a part of the Nigerian team. So I was trying to win the African Cup of Nations. So that way, I could say, I just won Africa. Like, I literally have the top team in Africa. So that's another thing that can happen, to where if I don't want to win the South African League, I think they call it I don't think they call it the Prem. Maybe they do call it the Prem. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think if they do or not. But that is mainly the big thing going forward as far as for that goes. There's a couple of more. Obviously, the big one, though, is the World Cup. That would be very cool to have. It's unfortunate that the World Cup in FM23, even though, of course, the World Cup is literally about to happen, you think they would have made that like a big deal, but they didn't, so how fun. It's just the same old shit. You can't train anybody, can't do all that, but definitely want to win the World Cup. That's kind of the cherry on top for this, if you win the World Cup. But yeah, the order is pretty much Australia to either Africa or Asia, depending on how popular you get as far as reputation-wise. Then either to North America or South America, probably North America first, because the MLS is definitely the lowest rep out of those kind of 4 leagues left, and then, of course, Europe. Now, we can now show the game here, as because I figured we were not going to do it like this, because you can't hardly see shit. It's just a big mess. But for the leagues here, we have it set up already. As far as a couple of them I've added just for view only. 83,000 people database is pretty nice to have. Like, I added like Colombia, Belgium, Portugal, and Poland. I think we might add another one here or there, just to kind of try to maybe an even 90k or something. But this is what we're starting off with. As far as, yes, nations are loaded up. The big thing about Australia, and we'll talk about, because obviously we're going to Australia, is now you guys get to see what team we get to pick. We get to start off with. So my only rule with picking a team is I cannot pick the fucking big teams. Yeah, I can't pick the number 1 team. Now, last year in FM23, we'll just bring it up here since we're loading in, I fucking went into the Hall of Fame 33 games in. So what happened? My first year I was with Perth. That was the team I picked. I just thought they had a cool logo and they looked cool. Won the regular season. Completely shocked. Was so shocked at what happened. So that helped. And then we win the Australian Cup, which is kind of the pre-season tournament that happens before the regular season. So if you do that, you'll probably go into the Australian Hall of Fame, which is super funny to think about. Like 33 games in, I was already a Hall of Famer in one of the regions. So that, I mean, could that happen? Maybe. And this is where we won it all. As of course, it's so crazy that Dale Sturridge, obviously a man that looked like he had England in the palm of his hand about a decade ago, and he's down there in Australia. Completely forgot he was on the Perth team. I knew he was in Australia, and I was kind of like, I hope we don't have to deal with Daniel Sturridge, because he's probably going to be a problem. And the pop of seeing him was like, oh my god, we get to have Daniel Sturridge. And he was great. Yeah, he did really well for us, obviously, there. He is super talented to be in that Australian league. The A-League, as they call it. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones I could kind of show you guys, as far as... we almost won the finals. I will show that. We were in the A-League finals. The first leg, it was 6-0. 6-0 at the half. We were dominating Sydney FC. But in the second half, they go up. They think, we don't score again, but they get a couple of goals in. So then, of course, the second leg comes around, and we blow it. We bottle it, which was super embarrassing. I probably should have told anybody that, but that's what's kind of great about FM as we're still loading up here. That's what's so great about FM. If you go just horrendously bad, if you're on a great run and you're about to win the league, but then you bottle it at the end, it's very entertaining to see the train wreck collapse. So that's what kind of makes me a little bit more excited about doing FM on the channels, because no matter what happens, if I do well, if I do shit, it's going to be exciting nonetheless. It should be entertaining nonetheless as far as to see it. Probably more entertaining if I fail, but we'll have to wait and see. It's still fucking loading. My God, I'm going to have to edit this down. But I think really the big thing here with FM, obviously, the being a certified football scout, that really doesn't matter with FM. It's a game. At the end of the day, it's a fucking video game. Really, real life football knowledge is not really going to help you at the end of the day. Sure, it could give you a bonus here and there, but really, the tools that you have, as long as you can analyze data and you can basically, I would say, analyzing data and to be able to run, I would say, a positive club money-wise, because sometimes that might do you in the end, but really, other than that, you should be fine. As far as the game helps you out a lot more than anything, as far as with like putting people in the right position and all that. It's not like you're handcuffed. Now, if we did like the hidden attributes skin and played, now that would be a bit nuts. That would actually, you would have to really know what the fuck you're doing. So that might be something we do in the future. But yeah, we're going to do 3 different saves on the channel right now in real time, as far as we're going to have one on Sunday, we're going to have one on Tuesday, and then we're going to have one on Thursday. The Sunday one is going to be the Continent King one. Tuesday, we'll talk about once we get to Tuesday, and then the same thing for Thursday. But each one will have a different format. For the Continent King, we won't be showing like every game. We'll kind of be going through peaks and valleys. Maybe, as far as if we're playing like the top team, we'll stop there, or the top 2 team, we'll stop there. If we have like an important like cup match or something, we'll watch that. But really the main thing is getting from point A to point B as fast as you can, and obviously having to deal with going to every single country that we can, as far as trying to get England's Premier League, try to get Spain's fucking La Liga, try to get Italy, Serie A, and then getting the Bundesliga in Germany, and going to all these continents, all these leagues. Really, by the end of this, we should, if it's successful, have like 20 trophies. That's the plan. 2025, with a World Cup in there as well. That's the goal. And if we fall short, we fall short. It is what it is. I will say this. I didn't even get to finish last year's Continent King, because I started a little later than what I wanted to, because naturally, with FM, right around the pandemic, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to stop buying FM every year. I'm just going to buy it every even year. And, so I was pretty content with not even doing FM for 2023 when I had, made that decision. But with the channel now, I think I'm in a spot where I can use not only, having fun with the game and filming and doing footage for it, but I think I'd also get that money potentially back that I invested into the game. So there is that too. That's very nice to have. But this is still taking so fucking long. I know it's going to take a long time, but my God, I feel like I've been talking for a solid 5 minutes. It's still going on. We'll just stop it here and we'll show you what team we picked. The team we are choosing is the Newcastle United Jets. What a team, as far as they are pretty much a team that historically, they've never won the league. They've come very, very close, though. They're second here, and a second in 2007, 2008, and another second. So they just have always been the bridesmaid and never the bride. We're going to try to change that. Now, for those who don't know, Australia is very unique in the fact of they are a part of the Asian Championship League, which is, the Asian Football League, rather. So it's an AFC. So if we finish in the top 2, we'll have to take on, like, teams from South Korea, from, like, China, basically everywhere in Asia. And that was mainly because the idea was to give the Australian teams more of just a chance to play better, opponents and play better teams. But with Newcastle United, the Newcastle United Jets, we should just call them the Newcastle Jets, because if we just say Newcastle United, obviously I was going to think of the fucking Premier League team. So the Newcastle Jets, they have a pretty good stadium, pretty good training facility, which is nice, adequate youth facilities. I'm just kind of curious to see what Perth is looking like. Huh. Yeah, their stadium is pretty small. I do remember that. But I do love those jerseys. I am now a fan of Perth Glory's kits, that's for sure. The top teams will usually be Melbourne City and Sydney FC. That's kind of your tough teams. The Sky Blues for Sydney FC, and then Melbourne City, which, that's very much like Manchester City in a way, where they are, they got a great cedar, they have a great stadium. I was reading cedar when I said that. They have superb training facilities, like they're going to be a problem. And then Sydney FC is kind of the same thing, just not on that same level. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We have to change this, though, because another fun thing about this, we start off with no coaching badges, and we start off with the Sunday League player. Now, I do get to at least change this stuff around to where it's something that I would like to do. And I thought about having it be 0 across the board and really be a challenge. But, yeah, I think really the big thing for us, and we might just keep it as is here. This is not bad at all, to be honest. Yeah, we'll just keep it like that. It's really technical. Maybe shouldn't be 3. Maybe we'll we'll go with tactical 2 there. Yeah, I like that a little bit more even, a little bit more balance. Kind of forget how I had the stats in last year's how we started, but we did pretty well. Now, obviously, here's another challenge as well for being this Newcastle Jets manager. They're going to hate me right out of the gate because I'm going to be under the level that they should have as a coach. So that's going to be interesting to deal with. I'm sure they're going to love that. And as far as, because, yeah, they want us to have like a Continental A license, and that's not happening. Like, we're not dealing with that. That's not in the game plan. I wish we had fucking no experience as well. I hope they made it just impossible, but it is what it is there. As we will start playing. We'll load it up, take a look at the team, see how it all looks, and that will do it for the first episode. Yeah! Newcastle United Jets. Newcastle Jets. Making $100,000 per appearance. That's not bad. Yep, that is not bad at all. Hell yeah. Yep, our one trophy. They did win. Oh, they did win the finals. Huh. 2008. Alright, there we go. I don't know why I didn't see it there, but yeah. Last time they won it. Been a long time coming for the Newcastle Jets. Their payroll. Another thing about the Australian League. Everybody's on there's a salary cap, so everybody deals with the same amount of money. So that is at least a little bit of a fair advantage, but at the same time, it's most of the time Melbourne City and Sydney FC are going to be at the top of the table unless something really, really bad happens. Here's our starting lineup as we got us in the 4-3-3 here, which is fine because I think that's kind of what I'm going to want to run. Though we'll probably do what we did in Australia as far as you saw how well we did in the last game, and they talk about how there's going to be, you can't use the same shit. I really kind of want to prove them wrong, so we might run what we did. So there was a fluid counter-attacking system with 3 strikers up front, so overlapping the middle of the pitch with 3 strikers and having 3 in the middle and then 4 in the back, and not even having a defensive midfielder. We might do that here. That definitely could be something, but so far our goals are just grow the club's reputation, challenge for the Australian clubs, and not even win it, and then just become an established Australian League team. I'm feeling confident, though. I think we'll be able to develop some guys and be able to get we won't do that inter-squad friendly, though. I know that's probably a bad idea, because that definitely would help us out And there's a spoiler for what the next series is going to be, because I did load that up first. As the club vision and expectations still there. There's a supporter profile. Yeah, we got a core. Orion's doing pretty well. I'm sure they'll hate me, though, right out of the gate. Very, very sure that will happen. Yes, we already got our 4-3-3 up with the defensive midfielder. So we'll probably just wait and see how it all loads up. I know we're already about 20 minutes in. I think that's a good stopping point here. We'll just take a look at the squad, though. Brandon O'Neill is a savage. I do know that much because he was on the Perth team, as you see there, in the last game. He is fucking phenomenal. He does really well for us as a midfielder there, just as a central midfielder. Hard worker, do a lot of things well as far as a good passer, good tackler. He can do it all, really. He's really solid as a midfielder, for sure. We'll look to keep him as much as we can. One thing about the Australian League that I also remembered, you can only have 5 maximum non-Australian people. I think New Zealand, it gets by, though, I believe. Yeah, because I'm seeing there's a New Zealand fella here, and it doesn't say foreign. So, we do have that to deal with. So, if you want to bring in somebody that's a foreigner, you better hope he's fucking really good, is kind of the thing there. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot that I would like to change. Daniel Stein's another Australian Perth Glory, former Perth Glory member. He was okay. He kind of didn't fit with what we like to do, because we had to put him as a midfielder. And I mean, off the ball wise, he's got good pace and whatnot, but it just didn't really work for what I like doing. If we would run a attacking midfielder, the central attacking midfielder, he'd probably do a lot better for us, but I don't think we'll be doing that. So we might get rid of Daniel Steins. Just like that. Archie Goodwin, though. Archie Goodwin, an absolute savage. Yeah, his finishing was a little bit better in the last game, which is fine, but he will probably develop into something very, very good there at 17 years old. He turns into a bit of a problem. Trying to think. I thought there was another Newcastle Jets guy that I would get, but I'm not seeing him here. Maybe he's in the developmental side of things, because I thought at least, it's no big deal. Oh, wow. But Mark Nada and Blake Archibald will probably get called up. Yeah, we gotta bring in a lot of people here, it looks like. We gotta rearrange the staff. Yeah, we gotta bring in some scouts, obviously, the medical team. Yeah, we got a lot to do. Gotta take a look under the hood and make sure everything is good to go. So yeah, the friendly is in 5 days, so at least we have the friendly. I am kind of happy now, actually, that we have that friendly scheduled. We'll probably have a couple of friendlies, if I had to guess. Oh, we already did yeah, because there's a lot of time in between for the schedule. But yeah, we'll probably see you guys for the quarterfinal game. It's probably when the first time you will see us. We'll see how we go against whoever we draw there. So that should be fun. So at least we have about 3 weeks to really get the squad ready to go. That should do pretty well for us, and we should be able to have a pretty cohesive squad by then. We'll definitely see how the tactics are going to look like, because I think we'll keep this 4-3-3 for now with a defensive midfielder, but we might just kind of copy this for 2, and then add all 3 as advanced forwards up top, because that did really, really well for us. We usually have a central midfielder that's an attacking here, and either a box-to-box and then a deep-lying playmaker. Sometimes we'd switch it up there in the middle. And we usually go fullbacks here in the back 2 of the back wings, and for the fullbacks, and then usually either 2 ball-playing defenders or a no-nonsense and a ball-playing defender, depending on how their passing is. That's kind of how we would set up, and obviously a sweeper-keeper there in goal. Should go well. I'm super excited to see how this plays out. Back in Australia, very exciting. I did enjoy my time in Australia. It was very, very fun, because the league is pretty simple. I wish they'd be able to show it, but I guess we'll just look here. So yeah, you got your top 6 that qualify, your bottom 6 that don't qualify for the playoffs, and it's just a full-on battle throughout the entire season. You play everybody twice, You got a home game and away game. Pretty simple. Pretty simple shit. 24 games. It's nice. It's nice and low maintenance. It's a nice place to start off in. Hopefully, what I want to do is try to start a coaching course right out of the gate. Hopefully they pay for it. Because at Perth Glory were very nice enough to do that. If they don't do that, that's going to delay this even more. So that's a big factor in this series as well, is how you're going as far as courses go. Hopefully it goes well, and we will catch you guys next time for episode 2 when we get to see the Newcastle Jets in action.